It is very rare to get information and updates on position battles, especially quarterback battles in spring practices and scrimmages. But, and I have a big but, a source has leaked down some information about the quarterback battle and what's been going on in the scrimmages, and I can't speak for you, but it definitely shocked me. Here we go. Was that corny? I don't know. Let's just roll with it. A couple days ago, we talked about the quarterback competition and battle going on in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. About a day or two ago, we talked about the battle going on up at Neyland Stadium in Knoxville, Tennessee, with Hendon Hook. No, my bad. With Joe Milton and Nico Imaleva. And now today, you guessed it, we're going to talk about the quarterback battle and controversy going on in Athens, Georgia. I didn't plan to make this a mini video series. It just so happened that a lot of news just came out about all three of these quarterback battles in the last week or two. Regardless of that, it just feels like we're running down the list here, and I don't mind at all because I find all three of these quarterback battles we've talked about, from Alabama's to Tennessee to Georgia's, some of the most interesting battles going on in the country. And let me know in the comment section if there's some other quarterback battles going on that you think we should talk about. Just drop a comment down below and more than likely, we'll talk about it. I myself find this Georgia quarterback battle very intriguing because in the past couple of days, it has taken a drastic turn. Whoa, hold on. I know what you're sitting there saying. Yo, Matt, drastic turn, what are you talking about? Well, my friend, that is a great question and I have an even better answer. The guy that most people thought was going to win the starting job, who was the backup quarterback last year, Carson Beck, he hasn't been doing so hot in practice recently. And one of the other guys in this quarterback battle is over-exceeding expectations already. In a recent scrimmage, he had 3 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. To put that into perspective, Carson Beck, what most people considered the front runner after the season ended, he had 3 interceptions in a scrimmage. I know what you're sitting there saying. Yo, Matt, are we really about to overreact to this? And yes, we are. I'm a professional overreactor. I'm just playing, but on a serious note, I think it's worth talking about, and we're going to do that in today's video. As always, if you're new to the channel and you like college football content, consider joining our community. We are super close to 270,000 subscribers. All right, Matt, shut the crap up. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. I forgot to say this in the intro, but we only got one topic and one topic only to talk about and go over in today's video, and it's the Georgia quarterback situation. I know a lot of Georgia fans are already going to know this, but for everybody else, to give you a perspective and some context before we get into what we're about to talk about, the Georgia quarterback battle, it's down to 3 candidates. The 3 names you need to know is Carson Beck, that was the backup last year, Stetson DoorDash Bennett, Brock Vandergrift, that was a 3rd stringer, and most recently, a 4-star recruit that goes by the name of Gunnar Stockton. Most people, this isn't everybody, but I'd say 97-98% of people think it's a 2-way race between Brock Vandergrift and Carson Beck. I'm in the same boat as those people. The 2 notable names you need to know is Carson Beck and Brock Vandergrift. I don't think Gunnar Stockton has a chance or even a good chance to win the job. He might have a 1% chance. Both Carson Beck and Brock Vandergrift, they've been there longer and they're more mature and they're used to the system. And to prove my point even more, it's been reported that Gunnar Stockton, he hasn't even worked with the first team. He's taking reps with the 2nd and 3rd string. I'm not saying Gunnar Stockton can't win the job, but it doesn't look like that's going to be likely. So now that we've gotten him out of the way, let's talk about the 2 guys we need to talk about. Carson Beck and Brock Vandergrift. Like I stated, Carson Beck, he was the backup last year who, when he came in, he looked decent. He looked okay. However, I don't care what you do when you come into a ball game and it's blowout action. When you come in 59-3 and you throw a touchdown and go 5 for 5, I don't care. Why don't I care? Because there's no pressure. It's not even like a serious game environment. Anybody can go in there up by 50 and let it fly because you have nothing to lose. But I will show you his numbers for 2022. He completed 26 out of 33 passes, completed 74% of those with 300 yards and 4 touchdowns to 0 INTs. Although it is a very small sample size, it's still good, but yet again, I don't care. I don't care what you do against Vanderbilt when you're up by 400 or Chattanooga State Water Aquarium Community College when you're up by 40. It don't matter to me. I care what you do when you're only up by 7, 14, tied, or losing. The other quarterback in the mix of things, Brock Vandergrift, well, he didn't play at all. Yeah, he got in a little bit, but I believe at max he only threw 1 or 2 passes last season. So there's nothing at all to even show for him. So just by going off of that, with Carson Beck having some experience and fans being kind of excited of what he did in garbage time last year, he is presumed to be the front runner. As soon as the season ended, most people said, okay, that's the favorite to win the job heading into next year. It's common sense. He was the only quarterback on the roster returning that had any action whatsoever. But here's where things are getting a little bit interesting. Check out what Kirby Smart had to say. And by the way, this is referring to the practices and scrimmages in the past couple of weeks. I can think of really good things each one did, referring to all 3 quarterbacks, and I can think of really poor things each one did. So it's not like one guy's sticking out. We've got 3 pretty good quarterbacks and they've grown. Each one of them, and they're all three different on their own ways, it's still a tough evaluation. In that quote, it said on their own ways. I think they meant to put in their own ways, but you still get it. Continuing along here, here's what Kirby Smart has to say about Carson Beck. Carson has really good command of the offense. He understands it inside and out. He communicates it. He gets things correct. He had a couple poor decisions and choices today. We'll talk about that in just a second, a little foreshadowing, but he also made some plays. He made some really good throws. He's got a really good presence in the pocket to move around. Like I said, we'll talk about those poor plays and mistakes Carson made in a second. Here's what Kirby Smart had to say about Brock Vandagriff. Brock made some plays. He made some plays getting out of the pocket, made some good throws. He had a couple of downfield throws I think he wished he had back. Give us a chance in some 50-50 situations and keep the ball in bounds with that. But he did a really good job in the 2-minute situations. Going off of those quotes, it sounds like coach talk. He's not going to give you too much information, but he'll give you a little bit. He said some good things about Carson Beck and Brock Vandagriff, but he also said some bad things. Well, just like with anything around this time of year, around spring ball, we have no information whatsoever. It is very rare to get information and updates on position battles, especially quarterback battles in spring practices and scrimmages. But, and I have a big but, a source has leaked down some information about the quarterback battle and what's been going on in the scrimmages, and I can't speak for you, but it definitely shocked me. Remember how Kirby Smart said some quote-unquote poor decisions were being made? He's referring to Carson Beck. He had 3 touchdowns and 3 interceptions in a scrimmage. One of those interceptions was including a pick 6. On the other hand, for Brock Vandagriff, he had 3 touchdowns to 0 interceptions. Do what you want with that information. Whoa. Hold on. Before you run to the comment section, I get it 100%. Yo, Matt, why are you freaking out? It's spring ball. None of this matters and blah, 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 blah. Okay, I understand your point. But we never and rarely ever get information like this. Whenever there's a quarterback battle like this going on at a big time and prestigious school, you're rarely ever going to get stats like this that get leaked out. Yeah, sure, Nick Saban, Kirby Smart, Josh Heupel, Lincoln Riley, whoever it is may say, yeah, well, there's some growing pains going on. They may say that, but they never give you numbers like, oh, he threw 5 touchdowns and 1 interception, or 3 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. The reason I find it interesting is, remember, Carson Beck, the guy who threw 3 interceptions, he's supposed to be the front runner. And the guy who is second in this quarterback race, who is Brock Vandagriff, he had 3 touchdowns to 0 INTs. So he outplayed them. And here's what you got to understand about Kirby Smart. He doesn't want a quarterback that's going to go out there and win them games. He wants a quarterback that's going to go out there and not lose them games. There's a difference. For Georgia, it's worked the past 2 years. They want a game manager running the show. And why would they change their ways? They're back-to-back champions. And have you seen their schedule? It's one of the weakest schedules in the country. I don't mean that to be disrespectful. I'm just calling it how it is. And I can guarantee you this, if you were to ask Kirby Smart, would you rather have a guy that's going to throw 3 interceptions and 3 touchdowns or 0 interceptions and 3 touchdowns? He's taking the 3 touchdown guy. Hold on. Let me change it. That's a bad way to put it. Let me give you a different example. I truly believe this. Kirby Smart rather have a quarterback that's going to have 0 touchdown passes and 0 interceptions rather than a quarterback who's going to have 3 touchdown passes and 3 interceptions. Because guess what, ladies and gentlemen? We saw it twice when Stetson DoorDash Bennett lost to Alabama. Why did Georgia lose? Because of turnovers. Georgia lost because their quarterback tried to make a risky pass and has a couple of interceptions, and it's over. You can't claw your way back. All it takes in college football is 2 interceptions, and you could easily lose a game. And it's cool to make up for it and throw some touchdowns, but sometimes it can be too little too late. Kirby Smart does not want a guy who's going to throw 40 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. Although that's good, they want a guy who's going to throw 22 to 25 touchdowns and 4 to 5 interceptions. They want to limit mistakes on offense. Why? Because their defense is outstanding. They don't need to score 100 points a game. They don't need to make a lot of risky plays. Now, yes, when it's in the 3rd and 4th quarter and it's a tie ball game, yeah, let that thing fly. But in the 1st and 2nd quarter, protect the rock. This isn't Auburn. This isn't Mississippi State. This isn't Florida. This isn't Arkansas. We're talking about Georgia. They are a machine. They have 5-star recruits everywhere. What does that have to do with anything? It means if you're the quarterback, just get them the ball and don't F it up. Throw your 5 to 10 bubble screens to Brock Bowers, hand the ball off 40 times per game, throw a couple slants to your 4 or 5-star wide receiver, and that's all they want you to do. And until somebody stops Georgia, that's all they need to do. I say that to say this. I think when Kirby Smart is evaluating this quarterback battle, he's going to pick the guy that makes the least amount of mistakes. And it's a tough situation if you're one of these guys battling out because, yeah, you don't want to make mistakes, but you still want to play quarterback. You want to go out there and have fun. You don't need to be practicing and going, oh, I'm scared to make this 10 to 15 yard, 20-yard pass, let me dump it out to the running back every single play. No, you got to play quarterback. There's a fine line between playing freely and playing too risky, and you just got to find it. Let me give you a better example, and I think this is the greatest analogy I can use. How you determine how good a golfer isn't by his good shots, it's how good are his bad shots. I don't think y'all heard me. Let me say that again. How you determine how good a golfer is by how good his bad shots are. How good are his misses? You don't determine how good a golfer is by his good or great shots, because everybody can do those. You determine how good or great a golfer is by how good or great his misses are. Same thing for this Georgia quarterback battle. When Kirby Smart's out there evaluating these guys, he's not going to get overly excited because you throw 3 or 4 touchdowns in a scrimmage. Because at the end of the day, if you hand it off almost every single play at Georgia, you're going to get a touchdown eventually. But what does excite Kirby Smart is when you do throw a bad pass and you have an incompletion. That's all it is. It's an incompletion. What scares Kirby Smart is if your bad passes turn into turnovers. This is going to be something to keep your eyes on, because good old Brock Vandagriff might have something to say about all these people already proclaiming Carson Beck as a QB1. If we hear anything else, I'll keep you guys updated. Let me know your thoughts down below. But